welcome to another Fight of the Night review. This was for the Fight of the Night that happened at UFC 254 on Saturday night-ish. It was technically happening while I was still awake, and I didn't get the chance to do this review yesterday because I had to get food. So, yeah. Anyway, the Fight of the Night that we're talking about is one that took place on the prelim card between Nathaniel Wood from the UK, always nice to see some UK talent in the UFC, and Casey Kenney, a guy who's actually been making some pretty good waves in the division so far. The division, I think, was supposed to be bantamweight, but it was fought at catchweight because I think Casey came in a bit over. So, yeah, we're going to break down the fight. Well, I'm going to break down the fight as best as I can, from what I remember, and give it a review by the end. So, let's go. So we get to the first round, and both men touch gloves, and I always like to see it when the fighters actually touch gloves, because that's always a lovely show of respect. I like seeing it. I'm a bit weird in that regard. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, yeah, Nathaniel actually starts setting up some really good stuff early on. He sets up some really good leg kicks. He wings some nasty leg kicks in this first round especially. And he goes for some really, really good combos. He lands some lovely hook combos. There's a moment where I honestly thought he had knocked Casey down, because Casey went for a high kick, but he just sort of slipped, really. He wasn't attacked during that. But Casey managed to stay in the pocket with Nathaniel. There was a lot of really great exchanges between the two. And Nathaniel kept going to that leg as well and weakening a lot of Casey's power. Casey was countering with some really good strikes. There's a lovely 1-2 combo we landed at some point that did stun Nathaniel. That was actually pretty cool. Yeah, both men just had, honestly, quite an entertaining scrap in round one. I'm sorry I'm not able to recount a lot of it. It would probably be fresh in my memory if I did it yesterday, because I watched it yesterday. But this was still a hell of a first round, honestly. It was very, very close in the striking, too. I think, all in all, it was like, in terms of significant strikes, then, you know, I already hate that turn of, that sort of phrase for it. Nathaniel was one higher than Casey, which sort of makes me think I'm going to give the first round to Nathaniel, and I do. I thought, yeah, you know, he was just in there a bit more against Casey. It was a really, really close round. Casey obviously held his own. He was being pushed back quite a bit, but he was still fighting off a lot, and he did eventually manage to get Nathaniel against the cage a couple of times and land some really good combos there. But Nathaniel kept using his really, really great footwork and managed to pull away from a lot of dangerous situations and pulled away narrowly with round one. It was very, very close. But I still give it slightly in favour to Nathaniel, mostly because of the very, very, very razor-thin striking discrepancy. That's literally the only reason. We then get to round two, and it looks a bit like Casey has sort of slowed down a little bit, mostly because of a lot of the leg kicks he took in round one from Nathaniel, I would imagine. For the most part, it is mostly Nathaniel's round, actually, round two. He lands some really, really good combos. But Casey starts landing a lot more to the body, and it starts to slow Nathaniel down. And there's some good moments where Casey actually goes for some takedowns. He doesn't land any, and Nathaniel shows some really good takedown defense, which, considering he's a fighter from the UK, and us in the UK, we don't really get a lot of wrestling training when it comes to MMA. I don't know why I'm saying that, because I don't train MMA. But the fact is, Nathaniel actually managed to reverse quite a lot of it, and I don't know if it's either because he's just really good at it, or because Casey was pretty sluggish in round two, and like his takedowns didn't really have a lot of like oomph to them. However, in the midway point of round two, Casey did start sort of pulling away from it. He, I think he actually landed a takedown eventually. I don't remember if it was in round 2 or 3, but he landed a really, really good takedown at some point, and got some really, really good strike combos in. And once again, it was fairly close, but I give the majority to Casey. I feel like he managed to like get a lot more work done, especially Nathaniel was controlling the initial bits of the round, but like it felt like a bit he was coasting, and Casey eventually managed to catch on to what Nathaniel was doing, managed to counter quite a lot of it with some really good punches, really good body work, as I mentioned earlier, and really good takedown attempts. So yeah, I think it got to a point where Nathaniel even attempted to take down in round 2 as well. And as I mentioned earlier, fighters from the UK were not really trained in grappling disciplines. Well, wrestling disciplines at least, because it's a much bigger thing in America. So it was interesting to see Nathaniel attempt that. And finally, round 3, and yeah, the momentum has shifted massively. Nathaniel Wood is still coming forward and actually doing a lot of... He's doing some pretty good damage, especially with his boxing combos. But Casey, like, he controls the majority of the round. He's got an answer for a lot of the stuff that Nathaniel has for him. He lands really, really good overhand at some point. He actually gets a knockdown on Nathaniel for a very brief moment, I believe, in round 3. And, yeah, it's just still a pretty entertaining scrap between the two. Casey ran away with it. I think, like I said, I don't remember if he got the takedown in round 2 or 3. If he did get in 3, that would probably make the most sense, because round 3 was definitely the one where he gave it to Casey the most. This was his most dominant looking round. And he did get a good takedown on Nathaniel. He didn't really go for any submission attempts, though, or really any ground pound attempts. He was looking to mostly just smother Nathaniel and maybe try to weaken him a bit, which did work, but eventually Nathaniel did manage to get back up. So, yeah, that was really good work from Nathaniel to be able to do that. Considering he'd been countering takedowns a lot up until this point as well, that was really impressive of him. But Casey just really needed that one, and he eventually got it, and it did work for him. And, yeah, like, the rest of round 3 was sort of pretty good. It was pretty good. There was still some really good striking exchanges between the two. As I mentioned, there was a knockdown at some point, and Casey was starting to find his feet a lot more in round 3. And I give round 3 to Casey as well. I give rounds 2 and 3 to him. Round 1 was the closest, but I do narrowly give it to Nathaniel. However, we do actually have a winner for it, obviously, and the winner was Casey by, interestingly, unanimous decision. One of the judges gave him all 3 rounds. I'm like, nah, nah, just nah. I mean, I would call it a very close split decision, at least, in favor of Casey, but, like, calling it unanimous and giving Casey all 3 rounds, I don't agree with. Then again, you know that I don't agree with a lot of what the judges put out there in terms of their scoring system. But yeah, this was a ridiculously entertaining fight. It was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be, and considering that the main event was Khabib versus Justin Gaethje, and Khabib retired, I hope he enjoys his retirement, because he did promise his mother, bless him. That did make me happy. I mean, I didn't actually watch that fight, I only watched the fight of the night, but it's really, really nice that he had a solid reason for retiring, while undefeated and while a champion, so kudos to the man, honestly. But back to the Casey Kenney and Nathaniel Wood fight, yeah, I really, really like this. There's a chance it could be on my best of the year list. I've been like trying to write that up and trying to find more fights, and obviously, we still got a couple of months to go, so anything could happen, really. There could be like a new fight that could take any of the fights, any of the places of the fights already on the list. I'm not going to tell you what they are. There's probably one you can guess, because it's the only one I haven't reviewed this year. And if you don't know, think about it. And if you really, really don't know, I'm not going to say it. Just, it's that fight in particular is easily the fight of the year. But this fight was also really good. It could be on my top 10 list. It might not be. No, it could. It probably could. I really, really like this one. It was a great showcase for both guys. And yeah, it was a catchweight fight. But I'm not going to hold that against either of them. It was still a really, really good fight. Both men looked really, really good. The fact that you felt the momentum shift was really nice. The refereeing was pretty solid as well by Anders Olsen. It was something Olsen, I think. I could be very, very wrong about the name of the referee, but whoever it was, he was really good. Don't fully agree with the judging, but, you know, I don't think anyone really agrees with MMA judges these days. They get so much of their job wrong. They just do. But yes, all in all, this was a rather entertaining fight. I know I've said that many, many times already. Before I sign off, the next thing you'll see for, well, hopefully, I'm going to cross all my fingers here, hang on. Hopefully, this really hurts, by the way, get the first part of the Cranberries double episode for backtracking. Looking to get part 1 of that out tomorrow, and part 2 the day after. And that's really all that I have left to say. Oh, on Friday I might be able to get a Catch Up Chaos done. I'm hoping, because I've got like 6 albums I'm sitting on from like previous months, so yeah, I'll try and get that done, but I promise nothing. But for whatever comes next, which I'm hoping is the first part of the Cranberries 2-part episode, I will see you for that. So as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome, bye bye.